Hi, Kathy Vick, deeply awake. I don't have a lot of time, and I may be interrupted, so you may not even get this. But it's important for me to document what happened yesterday. I wanted to do it last night, but I was so tired. And once I explain what happened, you'll know why. So I actually was very, very happy to have a friend come over, and we had a very wonderful time, and we did some wonderful work together. And in the course of our afternoon together, she asked for, and I gave her some information that was just sort of like acting as a battering ram in my consciousness. So I was glad that she gave permission for me to speak. And as I did, she was quite moved. And I did some body work, and I'm finding that doing body work is leading to some really extraordinary results for others, which is nice. That's good. And then in this space that was created of me waiting, because we had another thing to do, my friend left, and then my son and I were going to go do something, and a space developed of quiet and rest. And so I watched a QHHT video and played video game. That's a really enjoyable way to spend an hour. And the video that I watched, the QHHT that I watched, I did post yesterday, and with just one sentence that I think said, I highly recommend watching this. What the inductee said, what the higher self or the oversoul said, was that the hypnotherapist wanted to know if it was helpful to put these videos of QHHT sessions out on YouTube. And the oversoul said, yes, the healing is provided through the video amplified. And then I listened again. This is the only tape I've ever done this with, but the lifetimes were very resonant, let's say. And while I was listening to it again, there was a person who was in a camp and was about to transition because she couldn't take it anymore. And believe me, I was right there. My eyes were closed, and thankfully, the therapist said, before you leave, I want you to take all of the suffering, all that pain, and I want you to give it to me. I want you to put it in my hand. It's above your chest. Give it to me now. And I did it. The therapist went on to say, now where are you? And she was then among her friends, and she realized she was an angel. And I thought, when I gave that darkness to her hand in my meditative space, and then I heard, well, where are you going now? I thought, well, that's her experience. I'll just listen. But, I have my own awareness of my angelic nature and my wings and things like that, so I could really relate to that. And then I felt my body begin to do what it does when it's activated, and I'm going to have a vagal response. I started to fade. I started to feel like not all here, and it's like this, I get really big and get really small all at once, but it's physical. And so then it was, Sam came out and said, you want to go to the store now? I said, you're going to have to give me a minute. I don't feel very good. Because I put my head on my laptop and I began to breathe. And it's very rhythmic, deep breathing, and I'm in a completely primal place, and each time don't know if I'm going to come back from it. I'm not scared, but I know that it's a big deal. What they told me while I was in the middle of it is, will you look at this? This is a big one. It's good you were strapped in. But may we bring to your attention, you're doing this one consciously, and you're doing it witnessed. Bravo. Because at one point earlier in it, when I told Sam I just needed to have a few minutes, I asked him, please come over here and put your hand between my shoulder blades on my back, please. And he did, and I felt so much better. And then he was standing right next to me. I was sitting in a chair, so I said, hold on a minute, Sam. And I put my hand on his inner calf, and I could feel the energy create a circuit, and it was so balancing. It was so helpful. And then he, walked away, and he finds that he's only seen 2 of these, but they're very scary. We had a long talk about these vagal responses afterwards. But during it, it was a very, very intense one, and I may have lost consciousness. I don't think I did, but I was so gone that my body loses its muscle tone, and so I was like on one side, and I know I'm perfectly safe. I know it's induced from a spiritual source. I could hear my team tell me, dear one, do you understand now why it is so inappropriate to resent healing others? Each and every time you deliver a healing, you are healed. Here is your healing. You did so well with your friend. Now, let us heal you. And, I was listening to the QHHT thing, and while this big light event had been occurring for me that induced the vagal response, everyone was there, and I could see him. It was just full of light around here, and I could feel them. It was their hands I was giving my pain to and releasing that lifetime to. You gave a healing, now let us give you one. Don't ever resent healing anyone ever again, okay? Okay. So as always, I was sweating like it's like a spigot. I'm just dripping sweat while I'm in the middle of it. And then Sam got really pissed when I said, Sam, I need the basket now. I need the trash basket now. And I was really glad it was right here, and it went wah, and I always do. I just hawk after one of those things and just empty my stomach contents. But he got mad, and he went in his room and he went, ah! And then afterwards, once I felt good, and it was time to go to the store, I was finally ready. I did explain that I totally understand why this would be so scary to witness. I don't like witnessing it when someone else is in distress. So I had to explain and just make it clear that this isn't an illness. This is healing. And although it is extreme, I'm safe, I'm protected, and I'm doing really good. Everything's fine. So I explained what would be very helpful during those times. If there's nothing to do. The only thing to do would be to protect my head if I were to go down. I'm more protected in those moments than at any other time in my life. That's when I'm safest. So there's some more information about the vasovagal response that I get and it's induced anymore with high spiritual healing. And at first, it just came on because I was laying in bed and my heart went goofy. My first vagal response, which I, of course, thought was illness, and finally wound up in an urgent care and then in an ER, and I was completely worked up, treadmill, everything. My heart is fine. My heart's fine. Better now because it keeps opening up. And the thing is that I was going to talk about this last night because it dawned on me as I was going to sleep that I didn't have memory of it. I had to consciously remember what had triggered it, what had happened, what was said. And that's what happens with these really, really high spiritual moments. Unless they're stitched into the earth with words, with speech, with writing, with reflection, with realization, with personalization, then it's a really nice thing that happened. It's like a dream, and dreams burn off. I'm not willing to let these spiritual happenings burn off. And that's what Deeply Awake was about, really. Capturing this and doing what I knew was my job, was to stitch love into the grid. Stitch this into the grid. That's why it doesn't really completely matter if anybody says bravo or not. It's really not for individuals, it's for the grid. It's for the consciousness. That's all. So, I've done so much work to get to a place where I have moved from one lifetime to another. All of 2017 was lived with that purpose, and I used the eclipses in February and August to effect that energetically, magnetically, genetically. But just as with all things, there is the event, and then there is the understanding of what that event means, and might, in truth, mean. So yeah, not a long one, but one that tells you that the work continues, and that was surprising to me. It's like I'm sitting there last night going, really? Really? I'm still going through this. Wow. And it felt so normal because I was releasing. I was actually able to slip out of the lifetime that I slipped into in 61. It's a different meaning to me now because I'm not carrying it with me quite the same way. And I'm seeing things differently. I know that that's always what I say. But I know that over time, the proof is in the pudding. And my pudding is particularly sweet and creamy and rich and nourishing. And if you like pudding, you're in for a treat. Okay, so there you go. When I've had it, I'm going to just talk about this event. I've had so many of these events, but this was singular. This was on the level of what happened to me May 25th of 2012, if it helps. I didn't have a near-death experience last night, but I had a vagal experience that stopped me cold. And I've had enough of these altered states. I know that you can say it's a near-death experience. It's the same energy, dear one. When you're able to crawl out of 3D land and pop into something bigger than that. Something like the unified field. Well, isn't the idea that you don't necessarily have to have your heart stop for you to feel that? Isn't the idea that we can possibly, at the end of this thing, somewhere down the road, walk around with the keys of life and death in our pupils and smile? Talk about the weather. Tell a good joke. Put people at their ease. So, what's gone before? Well, I guess I have to own it since it's got my name on it. But I've put into it this understanding that spiritual growth is about regeneration, and it's about evolution. It's about leaving behind what you were, like a skin that you shed, loving it, grateful for it, but understanding its place. So, today is the solstice. I'm getting shivers just saying those words. And I may be void of visuals and much of a roadmap today, but it just doesn't even matter. Don't matter. So I make a big farmer's breakfast for me and my boy, and then I'm going to go do something that I wasn't going to do because I was afraid of the man. And I have every reason to have respect for the man, okay? But I'm not going to be living in fear of that sadistic twist anymore. So I'm going to go do what I want to do. I'm going to go create a couple miracles, okay? If you'd like, consider me walking through. I just keep seeing today, I just keep seeing this woman who keeps walking right into this like that of whitish blue flame. And I see her walking out into a meadow. So that's what today has been, the visual that I keep getting when I think about the 21st. And I'm really already really proud that today I'm not going to let my fear win. Even though, I'm a smart one, so I can make my fears look really, really valid. Oh well, that's cool. I got things to look forward to today, as I do every day. And I hope you do too. I hope that at least once a day you have something to look forward to, even if it's 3 weeks down the line. I hope that you're able to hook into joy in the here and now. I hope if it's hard and if the weather is bearing down on you and you're cold and shivering, that you remember that everything changes. That you're experiencing a storm, but you are not that storm. Simply by experiencing it, you're already stronger. And you're certainly on purpose. Sometimes you have to develop sort of a sixth sense so you can look outside of yourself and see just who it is who's weathering that storm. You might think of yourself as a small child in rags, curled up at the side of a building, feeling that way. Discarded and abandoned and scared and resigned. Maybe. That's a feeling. If you think about how much you love others, how much you have loved someone, maybe just one person, think about that love. Think about what you were willing to do for them, what you did do for them. Think about how you yourself are warm alive, aware. And then take a look at yourself objectively. And what you thought you were, a tiny little refugee, a forgotten child, a lost soul. Well, that's how it felt. But look at this. The reason that you felt rain on your face, and you felt your body tugged, pushed. You're not a little child, tightly curled against a building. You're a lighthouse. The reason that you might feel so alone is because lighthouses don't hang out together very often. Lighthouses have a purpose that's only really understood when the weather is threatening and there's danger in the air. With that, I leave you in love, in respect, in certainty of your strength and beauty and wisdom, honoring that each of us have a purpose, and really loving what I have become. I hope this message brightens this day, this beautiful solstice, but all days to come, whenever you push play. You may not have big light events that make you that makes your body crumple and puke. Maybe you don't. You can consider yourself kind of lucky, okay? Because I'll leave you this way. I do this stuff not because I want to, but because it comes upon me, and it's because I don't know, I know how to do it, I guess. I don't know. But I know I'm doing something for you, all right? What I've been able, oh boy, did you see that? What I've been able to do with my body on that mountain, when I had visitations, when I've had big events, I'm doing this so I can hold the energy and spread it. The point is not that anybody says, oh, well, I can't attain glory until I, pass out and puke. No, that's really not, no. I'm doing this and explaining it. Once it's done for the group. That's why I get trotted off into the crystal cave. Those crystals are connected to crystals all over the earth. And their only job is to amplify. Well, they have many jobs, but one of the jobs is to amplify energy and to relate stories and information. I did this because I could, and by so doing, I've sort of made it obsolete. You don't have to go this route. This was just how I did it. But because, I have to end this way, because what really kind of floored me and finished the evening for me last night was this thought, and this is how I'll leave you. It's always kind of made me curious. Why is it that I've had these events? Why do I have so many light events? Why do I have all this sparkly stuff? And it was explained, part of it was because of the denial. There was a lid on my consciousness, and I was shown through the night too how absolutely inappropriate and dangerous it would have been to have let this information loose any sooner. So that means that that old life, that was purposeful, but the purpose was to be in preparation, to get ready. And I understood that these light shows, well, I didn't have it so easy before. And I think this is just a little bit of payback too. Reward time for me. Getting the stuff I love, which is synchronicity and magic and otherworldly events. So I went to sleep realizing how absolutely personally and perfectly I have been loved. It couldn't be better. It was okay. So if anything, I just hope I can be an example of an overcomer. That was the whole idea, just to be able to be done with it and to finally be happy. And to then to smile disarmingly at the face of someone who is confused and floored. How do I do this? How do I do what you did? To which I say, that's not the point. Point is, look at what I've been through. Look at what I've overcome. Look at how many bullet holes I have in my feet from shooting myself in the foot. Look at the misunderstandings. Look at the sacrifice. If I can do it, so can you. Your own way. Not my way, your way. Because if you do it your way, then you and me, we can sit down, maybe share a meal, and you can tell me your story. You can explain about your moments atop the highest mountain you've ever climbed. You can tell me what the view was like from there. And we, as equals, as friends, can smile and laugh. And relax into an evening of peace and homecoming. I'll meet you there today, anytime. A simple meadow. Happy. Peaceful. Free. Happy Solstice 2018. Selah.